Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name's Bree and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different than what I usually do. I am going to be creating a macrame arbor or wedding arch for my wedding coming up in April. That's why I haven't really been doing many crime videos at the moment. I'm just running out of time and I really got to hammer this stuff out. Usually I'm quite a lazy person. I'm also a very cheap person, and when I was looking these macrame arbors up, I saw that they ranged anywhere from $200 to $900. The 200 ones were really pretty simple, not much going on in them, and the $900 ones were, I mean, you could get like $2,000 ones depending on what you were looking for. And I was looking at it and I decided to watch a few videos on how to do macrame on the interwebs, and I was like, hey man, I could probably do this myself and save some money. So in this particular instance, my cheapness outweighed my laziness, which doesn't happen very often, but it did this time. So I thought I would give it a crack. So you're gonna need a few bits and pieces to complete this wedding arbor. You're gonna need a pair of scissors. You're going to need some tape. I like to use gaffer tape just because I find it sticks to the macrame cord really well. You can use any sort of tape, it's whatever you have on hand is fine. And also you are going to need some macrame cord. It doesn't have to be macrame cord, it can be twine, yarn, anything you want really, but I find macrame cord works the best because it's more rope-like and it also frays really nicely at the ends, which is a nice feature to add to the arbor if you wish to in certain places. You're also going to need something to hang the macrame from. I got my dowel rod from Bunnings for about $14 or $15. So the first thing you're going to want to do is figure out how long you want your cord to be. This will depend on how tall your arbor is going to be, or if this is you making a wall hanging, like how far down you want it to hang. And you have to give yourself extra length because when you are tying the knots and creating your masterpiece, it will slowly start to shrink up and up as you go. So always give yourself a little bit more length than you think you need. So whatever length you come up with, you're also going to want to double that length, and that is because of the way you hang the cord. What you would do, say that was the length you wanted to go with, you would then double it so it's like that, because of the way it'll get hung is like something of that nature when you pull it through. So you need to figure out your length, double it, make sure you give yourself a little bit of extra length because things will shrink up, and then with that extra length, if it's too long, you can just trim it at the end, which is fine. But if it is too short, you're not going to know until you finish the whole project, and then you're fucked basically because it's too short and you have to adjust something else, I guess. So always give yourself that little bit of extra length. Like, length is important. Okay, so once you figured out how long you want your pieces to be, what I like to do is measure out a piece, which I've done. So I've measured out a piece. When I cut it, because I said before this does fray, you're gonna get your tape, and I like to pre-cut my pieces of tape and get maybe like 20 on the go so that I don't have to like cut cord, cut tape, do it. It's just there, you can pick it up, put it on. What you wanna do is cut one piece to length. So you figured out your length, you wanna cut one piece. You can always go ahead and use a tape measure and measure each piece individually so you know they're exact, but like, ain't nobody got time for that. I certainly don't have time for that. Get your other piece of cord that's still attached to the roll, hold it up to the piece you just cut, and this is how you measure. These pieces I've cut are very long, so that's a fair bit of cord. So then you get to the end, you get your scissors, and you cut it. And that's your second piece. So you just tape the ends of both pieces so they don't fray. And they will be roughly around the same size. I plan on trimming everything at the end anyway, so it doesn't matter. They don't have to be perfect. If you need them perfect, I would suggest using some sort of measuring device, because these are going to be like, I reckon on average, like I've measured before and done this before, and I had some that were pretty much bang on and a few that were like a good 10 to 15 centimeters out. So they're not going to be perfect, but I mean, I had to do about 80 of these. I wanted 80 pieces of cord, so I'm not going to measure 80 pieces of cord. There's no way. Like, no way. I don't put in that amount of effort into anything except probably eating or sleeping. So it's just not going to happen. let's get attaching some cord. Hop up on this bad boy. So you're gonna get your cord, untangle it. If it's tangled like mine, oh my god, this is a big mess as my life. You're gonna get the two ends together, like so that it's even. You're gonna find the halfway mark, which I have. You're going to get it and you're going to put it over the top. So this is going over the top of the rod, and then you're going to grab those other two pieces and feed it through like so. You pull it nice and tight so it sits like that. So you now have two pieces and they should be fairly even. They're even. And that's it. So the next thing you want to do is consult the picture that you're using to work on. I have chosen this one. I just got it off Pinterest. It's pretty much my inspiration for what I'm trying to do. So let's get started. So I'm going to need to find the center of all of this macrame cord. I have 100 strands, so it is an even number, which gives me 200 individual little pieces of cord as well. So now I need to go and find the middle. Now that we've found the center, we want to start with a square knot. And you want to get the two center pieces in the middle. The right one goes over those two, and then under the fourth, the left-hand side, that then goes under and behind the two and in front of the right. And it's going to take a while to pull through because there's a lot of cord. That's the first half. And now you want to do the second half, so it's exactly the same except it's alternated. So the left one now comes over those front two and behind the right. The right goes behind all of it and then pops out in front of the left on the other side. And that's the first square knot. It's very ugly, but what can you do? I'm just working with what I got. So what I'm going to do next now is go pretty much the whole way across the top doing these square knots. So that's one square knot there. It's pretty ugly. I'm pretty sure they're going to get better as I go because I haven't done one for quite a while. And I'll go slowly. So the right goes over the middle two, and then under the left, which goes behind all three, and then up in front of the right, and it gets pulled through like that. And then just rearrange it, you'll see what it feels like. Bring it to the top, and then the same again, but the opposite way. So the left goes in front of the middle, but behind the right, and the right goes behind all of it, and then in front of the left. Ooh, shit, what happened? So just got a little bit tangled there, but just because it is quite thick and it's like obviously you can see it comes apart quite easy, this cord, which is what I want for when it comes to the tassel part when I go to do that. But just, you can just, I don't know, fuck around with it. I mean, mess around with it a little bit until you get the desired knot. Okay, so I have my 18 knots now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Fuck, I have 17. Bitch. Okay, I'm going to do one more knot on this side. So I need to have 9 on either side, and they're not going to be perfect. Like, well, maybe they will be if they're yours, but mine aren't going to be perfect. Like, I don't have the time nor patience to get them all hanging the same or doing the same or whatever. Like, I don't really think people are going to notice, and if they do, I mean, like, I've got an open bar, so hopefully they just pay more attention to the open bar, or they use it to forget the fact that my wedding arbor was not perfect. I don't think it's a big deal. Essentially what we are doing here now is we're creating a triangle. So what we want to do is start to make a V-like pattern. And in order to do that, we do a very similar thing that we did before. We take 2 strands, except now, instead of doing it directly underneath, we're going to take half and half. So half from the knot above and half from the knot above on the left. And then you just go ahead and square knot it again. And I'm not going to be leaving any space. Oh shit, sorry. I'm not going to be leaving any space between them like I did at the top, because I don't want to do that. So I'm not going to be leaving any space like I did at the top because I don't want to do that. I want it to be a bit more of a tighter formation. Holy shit, this is pissing me off. Alrighty. As you keep going as well, it's going to get less and less hard to pull through because, like I said, it will shrink, so you'll have less string to pull through. So you kind of want to start doing that. I mean, that looks kind of like dog shit right now, but as we do more and more and start pulling them side to side, you'll see it start shaping up. This still works after that, holy shit. So we're just gonna make one last, that needs to be a bit tighter. Oh, I've done too much. No. Acceptable, I'm putting it out there. None of my wedding dress, watch this. There's one knot there, and it's got 2 there that come off. We're gonna leave them out. And as we go down, we're gonna continually leave the outside 2 out. So we will start to make a V pattern that way, and that's how we're going to get our nice triangle. Alright, so it is slowly starting to come together. As you can see, I did start again because I didn't like the amount of room I had left between the top and where I'd started the square knots. I thought it'd look nicer if I moved them up, so I have moved them up. I think it looks better personally, and it doesn't look as bad anymore. You can see they make kind of like a really pretty diamond shape, and you can see here the triangle is starting to form, it's starting to come down. So basically you just keep doing that and you keep going in until you meet the peak, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do now. It is now the next day. As you can see, we currently have 2 triangles. I was going to make one big triangle, but then I looked at the design I wanted to kind of use as inspiration, and I decided that it was that the design actually had 2 separate triangles like this, so instead I just unraveled the middle up to where it needed to be to make 2 triangles. I have to use a ring light, so the light might be a little bit off just because I'm in front of a window and the light shines through and you can't really see what I'm doing. But now that we have the 2 triangles here, what I want to go ahead and do is make a diamond right about here. You can see we've done the top part of the diamond. So before you can start coming back in again, we actually have to fill it out. So it's just more square knots. Okay, and that's the triangle there that we've done. I mean, it's okay. It's not a triangle, sorry, diamond rather. So I'm sorry, I know this lighting is really terrible. It's not the best lighting to be doing this in, but I really need to get it done. As the day progresses, it should be fine because that sun will go down. I've got some lighting here that's trying to help out, but it's not really doing much. So what I want to do now is, I think they're called half hitch knots. Running half hitch, I'm not sure. It's this knot here. I'm going to be taking one from either side because what I want it to do is kind of go across to the middle here in a diagonal fashion, and then I'll be taking another strand. This just helps like the flow of the segments so they all seem to join up really nicely, and I'll be doing it from that side as well, and I'll show you what I mean. You'll understand once I get into it. Okay, full disclaimer, I'm not very good at these knots. Like, I'm not very good at any of it really, but these ones in particular take the cake for me. So I'm going to start here. Remember, it's going in a diagonal, so let's go. The first one for me is always the hardest, and because it's really long, this is going to be annoying. So it's just, you wrap it over and then under. So it's like that. I think that's a good, yep. And then you just do that again. So you wrap it over and then under. Ooh, please work. Yep, and then I'm just going to push that through, and it creates, you can kind of see there that two little itty bitty looking things. Look like a snail shell, kind of, I guess. And then you just keep going. You keep this one piece of cord that you started with at the start as like the runner, and then you just keep going, doing the exact same thing I did there with each piece of cord that comes along. Such good explanation. Everyone can understand exactly what I'm talking about. Each time you do it as well, you want to leave each new piece of cord a little bit longer, and that's how you're going to create your lovely diagonal. Over and then like that through its own little hole that it created. I'll link a website. I'll probably say from the start in the intro that there'll be a website you can look at to see how to do all these different knots. I found it, like I looked at it, and I'm not real good at looking at pieces of paper with instructions on it. So, well, I am, like if it's Lego or something, yeah, for sure, hit me up with that. But this stuff, not so much. I need to see it done in a video. Like I'm a very visual learner. So I actually find it's a lot easier watching, I guess, YouTube videos of people doing it. Maybe not mine, because let's be honest, I think everyone's just as confused as I am right now. But there's a few good videos you can watch where people are doing that and they explain it quite well, what they're doing. Okay, so now that we have finished the left-hand side going to the right, that's actually meeting in the middle. You can see that's the center there, meeting in the middle. We now need to do the same thing, but in the opposite direction. We want to go from right to left. And they're, I guess, fairly even, really. So to do it here, we get the ones that run together, and it doesn't matter which way you do it, whether it's over, under, or either way, but you use the one on the other side that's running, and you just do another half hitch knot with it. So that's going to come together like that, and just one more. Oh shit, what one do I pull? It's a lottery. Like so. I actually found a fault higher up in the top diamond where I had accidentally grabbed the wrong cord when I was doing a square knot, which incidentally threw everything else out, so I had to go and undo everything and redo it again, which I have done. So now this is sitting still a bit off, but a lot better. Okay, so I've actually gone ahead and completed half of the arbor. I think it's really important before you do both sides to maybe do one side so you get the layout of the design you want. For me, a lot of the time when I do this sort of thing, I find that I will do a design and not like it and undo it, and then try something different and maybe get further through and not like it, undo it and do something different again. So it's really hard to keep making those mistakes on both sides and changing your mind each time. So what I like to do is go ahead and do one side. This isn't finished just yet. There will be a lot of fringing that has to go on here at the end. This will be cut as well. Maybe there'll be a few more bits and pieces done, but for the most part, this is the design. This is what it's going to look like. This is pretty much it. So I can then go ahead and replicate that on the other side. You've already seen how to do a square knot. Most of the stuff I use is square knots. When I get to some of these twirlies, I'll slow it down and show you, but otherwise I'm just going to go ahead and complete the other side and then it'll be done.
without acting alone. Happily come slow. Happily come slow. You without have no soul.
To do those little twisty things I spoke about, it's really simple. It's just square knots again, except instead of doing the other half of the square knot, we're actually going to be twisting it in the same way. So we're going to go to the left here. Ignore my animals. So over, how do I do this one? Yep, so over, through. So now how usually, so you've done one like that, you would go the other way to keep a straight line, but we're going to keep going towards the left, and eventually it will start to twist pretty quickly actually. You can almost see it starting already. It's twisting. And that's pretty much it, just twisting along. And so you just keep going the same direction over and over again, and you will get some nice, neat little twisties.
Without acting alone. Happily come slow. Happily come slow. You without have no soul.
up to the part which I find quite daunting. This is the part where we cut. I need to do this now because before I can put the tassels on, I need to cut it so that I can use the cut off pieces as the tassels. So I want to recycle it all. So it's time to do that now. You can probably start a little bit longer than you anticipate you want it to be because you can always cut shorter. I think I'll cut there. How about here? Okay, that'll do it. So now we just have to cut in a diagonal each way. So I'm going for that kind of angle. Not bad, not bad. Above where I intend on cutting. Oh, this is terrible. I'm pretty happy with that. Similar angle. That's not even a fucking angle, great. Rustic. It's an aesthetic. It's supposed to look shit. I've done the best I can do, that's what I'm gonna call that. What you wanna do now is basically get each little strand and start undoing it. The thing that annoys me most about this is when I was actually tying knots and macrameing, it would come loose so easily and so quickly, but then when you actually want it to, it doesn't really. So it's a lot of pulling apart, and I'll pull this all apart and you'll come back like the next morning and it'll all be rolled up again. I actually have to get a comb and comb it out continuously until it stays. So I'm just gonna go through and do that to all of them. We're just taking it apart. And depending on what sort of thread you use, this is why I particularly chose this one, you may or may not be able to fray it. Okay, so I've done a really hasty kind of pull apart job. Still looks like quite curly, almost like a mop. Over time, when I'll constantly have to go back through and pull it apart and brush it through, it'll actually have like a really nice fluffy texture, I hope. It just takes so long, it really does, and I want to move on with what I'm doing and do that over time because as I said, it does start to gather back up again and then you have to brush it out and over time it settles down. I'm going to get into now measuring the pieces for the fringing over here. Okay, so I reckon the best way to do this is take a piece of your cord, very similar to how we cut everything in the beginning. Kind of put it over because again, you're going to need to cut double because we're doing the same thing. Again, those special knots. I think that's probably too long. I think about there's good. I'm happy with that. And I'll just go ahead and cut. And now I have my little piece that I'm going to measure all the other pieces to make it easier. And that's how I'm going to do it. It goes over, comes under, and it creates that nice little hitch loop thing. And that's basically it. I will probably go ahead and take all the bits of black tape off the ends, and then I'm basically going to do that the whole way up across both pieces of cord. And then I'm going to fray them out like I've done. Ooh. Did I step on you? Sorry, mate. And then I'm going to fray it out like I've done with the rest. And then I think bar a few bits and pieces that I will have to fix, that'll pretty much be it. And we'll be done. Enjoyed this video. I actually really enjoyed making this macrame arbor. I can see myself making more in future. It wasn't overly difficult, it was just time consuming, but I mean, if you're not really doing anything and you're just watching a bit of TV, that's what I did the whole time while I was doing it. It's quite easy, really. I mean, I did it, you can do it. All up, I think it took me around probably 11 hours to do the arbor itself. This was over probably a month-long period. I was just doing bits and pieces when I could. So this cost me all up just for materials under $150. And it's quite large, like it's pretty big. You'll see with me standing next to it. I'm really happy with it. There's some bits and pieces that do look like shit, but because of the overall scale of it, you can't really notice unless you're sitting there and picking it apart. So I'm not overly bothered at all. I'm just really happy it's done, to be honest. If you come here for crime, don't worry, I've still got plenty of crime videos in the works. They're still coming, it's still my passion. If you like this video, let me know and I can make some more. I do have some more DIYs coming for the wedding. I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to film it. I just really liked doing this big piece because I think it's really fun and it's really pretty. So yeah, thank you so much for watching and I will see you next time. Bye. Can you go with Daddy? Can you go with Daddy? You want to? You want to stay with me? You want to stay with me? You can't, you gotta go. Go, goodbye. She's been eating the cat shit.